Gets stuck. But Clive was brilliant because, see, that wasn't in the original screenplay. And I remember being on set, and all of the investors were there that day, and they were wearing their suits, and they were grinning to see where their money was going. And Clive came up to me with the maggot wrangler, because apparently maggots need wrangling. So
probably better treated than we were.
they were. But he walked in with a big box of maggots and looked at Clive, and Clive was like, these won't hurt you. And Clive was very hands-on, literally, and he put his hand in the maggots, and maggots won't hurt you if your flesh is living. Comforting. So they got me kind of acclimated with the maggots, but the thing is that maggots, they keep them in sawdust so they don't stick together. So they make this very strange shh sound as they like wriggle and writhe all around. So that was my maggot story segue.
Who's hungry?
Well, it's interesting because it was a baptism by fire for me, because I can handle like anything now, like maggots. Bring it.
Yeah. I don't know if I could top a maggot story. But what do you ask about sort of the dangers of the set, or because I didn't want to do it that.
More of the level of acting required for being covered.
Oh, I see. Oh, being underneath all the makeup.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost as if it's the same thing. It's like the makeup's almost doing the acting for you. But what Clive was telling Doug, just keep it so minimal and stuff. The image is just so powerful that the best thing you can do is actually keep it minimal.
The maggots did the acting for me in that scene.
I know what I'm bringing to your table to sign next.
Don't blame me.
Hey, will you sign this, Ashley?
There was, I recall, the point at which we were all working away in the torture chamber with all the chains hanging down from the ceiling. So we're all engaged in trying to plot a path for ourselves through the chains. What they didn't tell us was that between rehearsal and take, that the entire rig that the chains were hanging from would be being swung up in the ceiling. So we've rehearsed plotting a path through the chains with the chains stationary, which is fine. On action, the whole damn thing starts moving and the chains are going shoo, 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 shoo. So it was like Gladiator suddenly, you're trying, where you think you're safe. And one or two occasions on which I suddenly found I couldn't go any further because a chain had hooked itself to a pin, and I was suddenly not heading in the direction I thought I would be heading. I suspect Nick might have an anecdote in this direction.
I just point out that these were not plastic chains; they were anchored chains.
They were
This thick.
Yeah, Hellraiser 2. Anyone who's had a signature from me today will, no, I didn't actually tell anybody the story. You've possibly heard the story before. Very quickly, whenever I sign my signature, I put a little hook on the end of a chain underneath it, whenever I do one of these. That's to commemorate the time when I was doing my death scene in Hellraiser number 2. You know the bit? I've got this thing spinning around behind me, big pillar spinning around behind me. And all I have to do is to grasp, it's great effects this was, we're talking about in CGI, etc. So you have the tentacle thing that's going to hit me in the chest, kill the Chatterer. So all my direction was, literally do that with my hand with a spike in my chest, do that, and do that. That's all I had to do, that's all I did. I got it absolutely right. What I didn't know was pillar, bit of wood sticking out, chain, 12-inch hook. I think my words were, once they got the damn thing out of my mouth, and it was rusty as well. And immediately I'll tell you that my tongue has just gone to the part of the roof of my mouth where it went in. I just remember saying, teeth out, nurse in.
I think we're back to killer time.
I also remember getting home and the shock getting in front of my mum who tried to kill me to death.
I think if you work on a Clive Barker movie, he uses so much imagery with insects and gross out things that you just expect to have something nasty happen. But I think I've been quite lucky compared to the others. I remember in Nightbreed working with an actor who, as he was saying his lines, had earthworms crawling out of his mouth. So before each take, he had to fill his mouth with earthworms, which I thought was just gross. But everybody else was going, they're just earthworms, it's fine. And the only other bit with Gunge and Gunk and everything else goes back to an earlier question really about being blind. In the first Hellraiser, the house was supposed to fall on top of me, and so they had this big kind of bucket, huge thing full as earth, dust, huge great big chunks of polystyrene, and of course on the action, they emptied the bucket all over me, and on the first take, I just stood there because I couldn't really feel anything hitting me. So I just kind of stood there, and of course everybody gets really angry with you, and you go, I'm blind. So they had to go, action. Okay, it's hitting you, Simon. It's hitting you. Duck. Okay, it's hurting. It's hurting.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to our panel.